Hello students, welcome to your social science class. So today also we are going to continue with chapter 16, the judiciary. And in the previous class I've explained to you about the different structures of our Indian judiciary system, that is the Supreme Court, the High Court and the subordinate courts. Okay, now here in this continuation I'm going to explain to you about why we need these courts in our country. All right, now what are the importance of these courts, how they play a role in our society. Okay, then in the second point I will explain to you about the difference between the civil courts and the criminal courts. Okay, and in the third point I will explain to you about the difference between the role of the courts. Of course, the police, the courts, they all work for the law, they all work for the protection of the country, right? However, they have different roles. Okay, so I will be explaining to you about the role of the courts, the role of the public prosecutor, the role of the police and the hierarchy. Okay, then next will be the FIR, that is the first information report, how you can file an FIR or when you can file the FIR. And sometimes there are some certain police officers who do not want to record this FIR. So what you need to do in that case, and also how you can approach the Supreme Court whenever this FIR is not lodged. Okay, so let me begin with the first point, that is the need and importance of the court. So the first point, that is they keep a check on the unbridled power of the legislature and the executives, and they also declare certain rules, certain laws. Okay, so whenever the parliament is passing on any laws that is against the wishes, okay, of the citizens, then it is the court who used to help out in giving justice, okay, in saying against the laws, okay, that are being given by the parliament. All right, and in the second part, okay, in the second part what the courts do, they used to give protection to those fundamental rights. Okay, I've already explained to you in the Supreme Court, if you remember in the previous class, where the Supreme Court acts as the guardian of the fundamental rights, right? So here these fundamental rights are being protected and guided by the courts. Okay, and then the citizens can enjoy the rights whichever are given in the fundamental rights. All right, then in the third part what they do, they decide the center state disputes or disputes arising between the two states or between any two union territories. Okay, so whenever any disputes come up between any two states or between any two union territories, sometimes a state and a union territory also come up with some disputes relating to water, relating to power. Okay, so it is the court who used to come forward and they used to suggest the best decision, and they used to give justice. Okay, then in the fourth point, they act as the custodian of the constitution. I've also explained that point in under the Supreme Court, where the constitution, okay, whatever lays in the constitution that are being guided, that are being taken care by the courts. All right, and in the last point, they advises the president or the governor on the matters of law. Okay, so whenever there is any advices that is required by the president or any suggestions that is required by the president, then it is the court who used to come forward and give suggestions and advices to the president or to the governor also. Okay, so this is why the court is very important and we need them. Okay, now the next one is the distinction between the civil and the criminal cases. Okay, so civil cases and criminal cases are different. Okay, they are different from one another. How? These civil cases, okay, usually these civil cases is any wrong that is done by an individual, okay, to another individual. However, these criminal cases are any wrong, something wrong that has been done to the entire society. Okay, so here in these civil cases, there is no arrest, there is no imprisonment that is involved here. Okay, but in the criminal cases, the person is either put to jail or he has to go through a trial. Okay, and he has to go through a long process in the courts, okay? And another distinction between the civil and the criminal cases are, here the civil cases are mostly related to marriages, divorce, the custody of the child, okay? And the criminal cases are mostly theft, robbery, murder, okay? So they are very serious cases, all right? That's why they used to involve this police, and then a lot of eyewitnesses has to be involved, all right, so that these people can be sent to jail or they can be in prison, all right. And then another difference that between this civil and the criminal cases is that in these civil cases what happens, usually they are only imposed fines, or even if they are sent to jail, it's not for a very long term, okay. However, for the criminal cases, sometimes the person has to be sent behind the bars for the entire life, okay. So in criminal cases it is a severe cases, whereas civil cases are little minor cases, okay. So that is the difference between the civil and the criminal cases. Now the third one is the role of the courts, the role of the public prosecutors, and the role of the police, okay. So all these three people, okay, they used to deal with the law, they used to go for certain investigations, okay, they used to go for certain process. However, their role is different, okay. Like for example, the role of the courts, okay. If you remember, I've explained to you about the certain powers and functions of the courts, the powers of the Supreme Court, the power of the High Court, or the power of these subordinate courts, okay. So what they do, they used to bring the person or any cases to the court, and they has to be produce some evidences, has to be produced, some eyewitnesses has to be there, right. And usually it takes a lot of time, and a lot of persons are also involved in the cases. A single person cannot solve this case, so many people are involved in a court. Now this role of the public prosecutor, what they do, they used to they are the advocates, they are the lawyers, okay, who used to go to the court. They collect all the evidences from the police, they collect all the evidences from the public, from any person, from any witnesses, okay, whoever involved in the cases. They collect everything and take it to the court, all right. Then only the cases are processed, okay. Now here the role of the police is, whenever any incident has taken place, it is the police who first reach the spot, okay, and they used to collect all the evidences, they used to do all the investigation. So this public prosecutor, they are not involved in the investigation process, okay. It is the role of the police to do the investigation, and the public prosecutor, they just go to the court, collect all these evidences. It could be material, it could be a person, and they take it to the court, and then only the cases are processed, okay. So hierarchy, okay. Here in hierarchy, what they do, the Supreme Court, if you remember, again I have already explained to you in the previous class, where the High Court, okay, they used to take the advice and control from the Supreme Court, and the subordinate courts, they used to take the advice and control from the High Courts, right. So this is their hierarchy, okay. This is how they are correlated, this is how they run depending on one another, okay. So these are the differences of different roles that are conducted by the court, different role that is conducted by the public prosecutor, by a police, and the hierarchy, okay. Now coming to the fourth point, that is FIR. So FIR is the first information report, okay, and there is always a person who used to come forward, and they used to give this FIR. So this person is known as the informant, okay. Now this informant, what he does, what he or she does, they are the first person who must have witnessed the incident, or they are the first person who have some suspicions on another person, okay. So they used to come to the whoever police is in charge of that police station, they used to come to that person, and they used to give a written complaint, okay. Now this person comes to the police officer, and they used to lodge their FIR, okay. So there are certain process. Okay, so the informant has to go through certain process in order to file this FIR. Okay, let me read out for you. Number one is the informant goes through the nearby police. Okay, so the informant has to go to the nearest police station. All right, he has to go to the nearest police station in order to report the case. Okay, he doesn't have to go to any other any other police station. He has to go to that nearest police station, wherever the police is in charge of that area. Okay, he has to go there and he has to inform them and report the FIR. All right, the second thing is he will sit down with the officer and he will discuss the matter, okay, step by step. Okay, and when that informant is narrating the incident, the officer in charge will be noting down all the important points, okay, whatever he is explaining to him. Okay, so he will note down all this, because it is through this FIR that the case can proceed, or any investigation can be done only after the FIR is complete. Okay, so that is the second point. Now in the third part, the officer, after writing the details of whatever the informant has given him, he used to ask for a signature of that informant. Okay, so that is the fourth procedure. And then the information shall be entered in the book. Okay, so they have a record where they keep all the informations, and the officer in charge, he used to note down the informants, whatever evidences has been provided, he used to note it down in that book and he used to keep it as a record. Now after doing that, he used to keep one record for the police station and one is handed over to the informant. Okay, so that is the procedure of the FIR. Okay, first information report. Now in fifth point, what happens? Sometimes some officer in charge, they used to deny, they used to reject the record of this FIR. Okay, why? Because they feel that the incident is too silly, or maybe they feel that it's too simple, so they do not accept the FIR. Okay, so what the person can do, if the officer in charge does not accept the FIR, then this person, the informant, he can write a written letter to the superintendent of the police. Okay, so he can directly write the letter to the superintendent of the police, or he can also go and meet the higher authority. It could be a deputy commissioner, or it could be a superintendent police, whoever are in charge of that area in that police station. Okay, so if the officer in charge do not want to write down the FIR, then he can approach the other police officers also. Okay, so in the sixth point, okay, what happens is sometimes even the none of the police wants to write down, none of the police wants to take the FIR. Okay, they do not want to register this FIR, so the person can go and approach the Supreme Court. All right, so a similar incident has happened in 2005. Okay, in 2006. Okay, so in 2006, 22nd of December, the Supreme Court has decided that no police officer should reject any FIR that is going to be registered. Okay, so every person, whoever comes with the simplest cases, or it could be a silly case, whatever it is, the police has to enter it, they has to register this FIR. Okay, so in September 1997, okay, there was this person called Ramesh Kumar. All right, so he came across a case where his case was not registered in any police stations, and none of the police was ready to register the FIR. So he directly went and approached the Supreme Court, and then only the Supreme Court came forward and took the complaint, okay, against those police officers, whoever was involved in not registering the FIR. Okay, so whenever any FIR is not filed by the by the police officer or by any police station, then we can also go and take help from the Supreme Court. Okay, so it doesn't mean that our cases or our any report will go without receiving justice, but justice will be given in one or the other courts. All right, now coming back to the need and the importance of the courts. Okay, see, this person, okay, giving the example of this Ramesh Kumar, if Ramesh Kumar didn't get the help from the court, it would have been so difficult for him to get justice, right? But since court was there, even if a person is not ready to help him, it was the court who came forward to help Ramesh Kumar. All right, now based on the example of Ramesh Kumar again, so the case, whether it's a civil case or a criminal case that he was going to that he came to report in the police station, in order to go through the court, he has to file an FIR, okay? If the person doesn't register the FIR, then the court cannot take the case, the court cannot process the case in any way, all right? So the person has to go through the FIR, and then only the case will be taken forward to any courts, okay? It could be a Supreme Court, it could be a High Court, or it could be a subordinate courts, all right? Now here the role of the courts, okay? Citing an example of Ramesh Kumar again, the court, role of the court. So the court will give justice to this person by collecting all the evidences, by collecting all the witnesses, okay? And here what the role of the police will go and investigate, okay? Wherever the person have mentioned the place, or whoever's name was mentioned there, the police will go and investigate, they will question them, and then only they will be brought to the court if they are found guilty, okay? Then the role of the public prosecutor, here what they will do, they will take the case, okay? They will collect all the evidences, all the witnesses, and they will be produced to the judge, okay? So only when the judge sees all these evidences and witnesses, they will be able to distinguish the innocent person and the guilty person, right? And then the hierarchy, okay? Like for example, if the case could not be solved in the subordinate courts, it can be passed on to the High Court. And similarly, if the High Court could not solve this case, then it will be passed on to the Supreme Court, okay? And like I mentioned in the previous class, the Supreme Court always make the final decisions, all right? So whenever the Supreme Court makes any decisions, then it is final, no other changes will be made, and the case will come to an end. The case will be closed, okay? And then I mentioned to you about the FIR, the first information report, okay, how you can file them, what are the procedures that takes place, and if the police officer in charge refuses the FIR, then you can also approach the court, all right? So that is all for this lesson. I hope you have understood this lesson, and I also request you to kindly go through your textbook because there are so many subpoints that you need to remember, all right? So thank you very much. See you soon.